All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, tough emotions. Today, we're going to dive into the science of letting go. We'll look at what's actually happening in your brain when you feel overwhelmed, and more importantly, we'll explore some real, science-backed ways to handle it all. I mean, have you ever had one of those days where you just feel stuck? Like you're in an emotional quicksand of anxiety or frustration, and the more you struggle, the deeper you sink? Yeah, we've all been there. But the big question is, what can you actually do about it? Well, the answer comes down to this really important concept, emotional regulation. And here's the key thing you need to know. This is not, I repeat, not about ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is okay. It's the total opposite. It's the skill of actually paying attention to those feelings and then choosing how you respond.
Okay, so this is a super important distinction to make. On one side, you've got suppression, just trying to bottle it up and push it down. But the research is crystal clear on this. It almost always backfires. It can actually make things like anger even stronger. But on the other side, you have letting go. And that's about accepting the feeling, letting it be there without a fight, and allowing it to pass through you. The results? Way better for your well-being. So why does this even work? Is this just some nice-sounding idea? Not at all. There is some absolutely fascinating neuroscience that explains what's happening inside your head. Let's take a look. It really all comes down to this one simple but incredibly powerful phrase: name it to tame it. Seriously, this is one of the biggest hacks in neuroscience for managing your emotions. Let me show you exactly how it works. Okay, so imagine you get some frustrating news. Instantly, and I mean instantly, this part of your brain, called the amygdala, fires up. You can think of it as your brain's smoke detector or alarm bell. It's your fight or flight response, and it just floods your system with stress. But then, you do something so simple, it almost feels like it shouldn't work. You just pause, and you put a word to what you're feeling. You say to yourself, okay, this is anger. The moment you do that, you activate a totally different part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's CEO, the logical, reasoning part. And this is the taming part. By switching on the thinking part of your brain, you're essentially sending a message to the alarm system to cool down. The alarm bells start to get quieter. It's incredible, right? Just by naming the emotion, you've already started to take back control. So knowing the science is great, but how do we actually use this in the real world? Well, let's build ourselves an emotional first aid kit, packed with practical, proven tools you can pull out whenever you need them. Our first tool is all about your thoughts. It's called cognitive reappraisal, which is just a fancy term for reframing. Basically, it's about changing the story you tell yourself about what's happening. Here's a perfect example. Say you just gave a big presentation and it didn't go perfectly. Your brain's immediate reaction might be something like this: I completely failed, this is a total disaster. That story only makes you feel worse, right? It just piles on the shame and anxiety. Now, watch what happens when we reframe it. The facts haven't changed, but the story has. It's not a disaster anymore. It's a tough learning experience. See that shift? You're not denying that it was hard, but you're turning it into something useful. And that immediately dials down the emotional pain. Okay, next up in our kit are somatic tools. These are fantastic because they use your own body to calm your mind. It's all about tapping into that powerful mind-body connection to regulate from the ground up. And you won't believe how little time this can take. A major 2023 study out of Stanford found that just 5 minutes of controlled breathing exercises each day significantly boosted mood and lowered anxiety. I mean, that's a pretty amazing return on your investment. So, what can you do when you feel totally spun out, like in a moment of panic? One of the best go-to tools is this grounding technique. It's designed to pull you out of the storm in your head and anchor you right back here in the present moment. It could not be simpler. You just intentionally engage your 5 senses. You look around the room and name 5 things you can see. Then you notice 4 things you can physically touch. Then you listen for 3 distinct sounds. You identify 2 different smells. And finally, you name 1 thing you can taste. By forcing your brain to do this, you interrupt that anxiety loop and bring yourself back to reality. All right, our final set of tools is all about mindfulness and acceptance. The core idea here is, what if you stopped fighting with your feelings? What if instead you just learned to watch them with a little curiosity? Now, this can look like a lot of different things. In mindfulness meditation, you learn to see feelings as waves. They rise, they peak, and they pass. Acceptance is about just letting a feeling be there without needing to fix or change it. Self-compassion is huge. It's about being kind to yourself when you're struggling. And journaling, that's just another way to name it to tame it, getting all those messy feelings translated into words. So, let's do a quick recap of our first aid kit. We've got cognitive tools like reframing to change how we think. We've got somatic tools like deep breathing to calm our bodies. And we've got mindfulness and acceptance to change our whole relationship with our emotions. Each one is a different door into the same room of feeling more balanced. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. This isn't about a one-and-done fix. This is all about building everyday resilience. It's the small, consistent things you do that really have a huge impact over time.
So, if you remember anything today, please let it be this. First, emotional regulation is a skill. It's like a muscle you can train. Second, the goal is never to eliminate emotions. That's impossible. It's about changing how you relate to them. Third, those small, consistent practices are what make a real difference. And finally, self-compassion is absolutely non-negotiable. Be kind to yourself while you're figuring all this out. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Looking at all these tools we've just talked about, what's just one small practice, one tool, that you think you could add to your own emotional first aid kit, starting today?